What is going on, everyone? Looks like we're going to finish up the state series for 2018 in about a week or so. We only have 5 states to go, and then we're going to do Puerto Rico, and then move on to something else. Today we're going to go back to the East Coast and take a look at Old Dominion. That's the nickname for Virginia. Here it is right here in case you don't know and don't own a globe or a map. The Commonwealth of Virginia is an amazing place that's crawling with American history. Some of the country's most pivotal moments in history happened in this Commonwealth, including being one of our greatest presidents' home and birthplace, Thomas Jefferson. In case you don't know what a Commonwealth is, it's pretty much a state, just there's some slight differences. Not a big deal, but they still keep the name Commonwealth. Virginia is ranked 35th in size and 12th in population. Virginia was admitted into the Union on June 25th, 1788, making Old Dominion number 10. Virginia is about even when it comes to population growth. They have about as many people leaving as moving in every year, at least for the last decade or so. If you're thinking about making Virginia your new home, you should watch my top 10 reasons not to move to Virginia. Number 10. Less diversity. Diversity in the U.S. is crucial in order for our country to strive. When you get a state that's less diverse, it could very much be a bad situation. Virginia is one of those states. The social theory is that it causes narrow-minded thinking and could result in a corrupt state government. Now, those theories have some legs. In more recent years, the Commonwealth has become more diverse, which is why it's becoming a swing state. Personally, I like having other cultures around me. It broadens your perspective on things. And it's also kind of the bedrock of this country. And if you're about to make some point about diversity being bad, yes, it can be in some stats if you're cherry picking. Stop typing. Number 9. Traffic. Traffic in Virginia is horrible, especially in the larger cities. Like all states. But the smaller cities get their fair share too. Driving into DC from Virginia, which a lot of people do, could mean sitting in traffic for hours. It's a good idea to make a habit out of checking like the traffic updates and things like that. It'll save you a lot of time. Unless, of course, you're into being tortured and abused and love traffic, then by all means, just sit there. Number 8. It's a swing state. Living in a swing state will have its pros and its cons. You'll feel like your vote is more valuable, but you'll also be bombarded with political posters, yard signs, commercials, your neighbor's opinion, Russian operatives, and billboards. You won't be able to escape the advertisements for up to a year before the actual date. Now, I've mentioned this about all swing states as being a problem, and some people don't understand why it's a big thing. One subscriber said it's like your state, city, or town is taken over by sleazy car salesmen. When she used to have a home phone, she said it rang all day long. And then you had people knocking on your door every single day, wanting to put a sign on her lawn, or trying to convince you to take down the one you actually already have on your lawn. She said all the TV stations turned into like one big infomercial. Number 7. Cost of living. The cost of living in Virginia is unbelievable. Unless you have a great paying job, money's going to be tight. For example, in Richmond, for one adult, living wage is about $12.80. However, the minimum wage is $7.25. So the average college student would have to have 2 full-time jobs, sell plasma, and dance on a pole not to be homeless. Number 6. Eating rabbits. Most Americans tend to eat more traditional meat if they eat meat. If they can't find it at their local average grocery store, most Americans won't eat it. Virginians, on the other hand, don't have an issue with eating small animals like squirrels, possums, rabbits. No problem whatsoever. But it's just kind of weird to most Americans. In that part of the country, there's other places that kind of do it, but it's big in Virginia. My rule is if the animal is more known as a pet than a food, I don't eat it. Number 5. West Virginia. West Virginia is often confused with Virginia. It's like some people think it's the western portion of Virginia. The people that get this confusion tend to be the type that aren't into history, geography, and book learning. They're definitely 2 very different states. Some residents may even get offended if you compare the 2. Most Virginians see West Virginians as hillbillies. They are not. That's just an old West Virginia stereotype. I went to West Virginia last June to research this myself because I had said that in a video and a bunch of people got offended, so I'll come out and I'll check it out. Charleston's a lovely city. Sure, my friend Maya from WTSQ in Charleston is okay with bats living in her building, but that doesn't make her a hillbilly. Okay, that's a really bad example, but they aren't most of the time. Anyway, don't get them confused, or people are going to look at you like you're an idiot. Number 4. Mount Trashmore. Mount Trashmore is a real place, and that's its real name. It's not like just something everyone calls it. This is a 165-acre park with its own lake called Lake Trashmore. Now, this isn't a reason not to move here. Like when I use old blue laws as an example of how people think, that's what this is. This is a great example of how people think in Virginia. This park tells you they don't mind getting a little weird. The park was built on top of an old landfill in the 1970s, and people say it still smells in warmer weather. Now, that's obviously how they kind of got the name Mount Trashmore, because it was a landfill. It's just kind of weird. There's a lot of other examples, but that's one of the finer ones. Number 3. Weak gun laws. Now, this one's for people that don't like firearms, so if you're a pro-gun person and can't accept the fact other people don't like guns, you should move on to number 2. This one's only going to get you worked up. After the 2007 Virginia Tech massacre, instead of issuing a bill that would better control firearms, they instead repealed a bill that allowed residents to purchase only 1 gun per month. After the repeal, they can now go out and buy as many guns as they want per month. Now, that bill was kind of stupid in the first place. I mean, who cares how many guns you have? Just having 1 gun is enough to do some damage to people, so I never understood the point of that when I read about it when it came out. It just didn't make sense. Anyway. Now, it's worth noting that after the shooting had taken place, Virginia then-Governor Kane signed an executive order requiring the names of people involuntarily committed to a mental health facility to be submitted to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, which is a good thing. I mean, that one's just common sense. If someone's on some shaky ground mentally, maybe it's not a good idea to give them firearms. Now, keep in mind, I own firearms, I have a couple pistols, a couple rifles, I get it, but I also get the other side too. Number 2. Nuclear power plants. You may not know this, but there's a few nuclear power plants in Virginia. The state's not that big. This is alarming because you and your loved ones can be exposed to a potential catastrophe at any time if something goes south. When a reactor has a bad day, whole areas of land become unusable for a very long time. It's been decades since Chernobyl in the old Soviet Union, and nobody can live anywhere near that thing to this day. Fukushima in Japan was 7 years ago, and they still give us warnings about eating fish in the Pacific Ocean. I understand they have very little pollution, and they supply a lot of energy to a lot of people, but is it worth the risk? And number 1. Sic Semper Tyrannis. Sic Semper Tyrannis is the Virginia state or Commonwealth motto. It's Latin for, thus always tyrants. This is what Brutus yelled when he betrayed and helped murder his friend Julius Caesar. It's also what John Wilkes Booth screamed when he assassinated President Lincoln. Timothy McVeigh was wearing a t-shirt with this phrase and a picture of Lincoln on it when he was arrested April 19th, 1995, the day of the Oklahoma City bombing. Do you really think this is appropriate, Virginia? Maybe it's time to change. Alright, so that's my list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Don't forget all the links below. Hit the subscribe button, like button, leave me a comment. All those things you do. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.